Once upon a time, in a galaxy not so far away, on a flat Earth, stories happened to me. Hey, what is going on, bots? My name is ImFr3ke, and welcome back to another story time. Yeah, we're back to another story. This is going to be a good one, because I almost died in the story, and it's not one of those, I almost died, like I legitimately could have, well, maybe could have died if the scenario went really, really poorly. It was one of those things, those moments that happen in your life where you're freaking out to the point where you actually think you're going to die from this experience. And there's a strong possibility it could have broken your neck, you could have flew out, cracked something, hit your head on something. A lot of weird shit could have happened. And I almost ended up dying with my brother that day. We were, going through war. It was tough. We were playing Call of Duty that day. And then my mom hits us up and she's like, "Hey, you want to go to the state fair?" And we're like, "Oh, hell yeah." So we drop it. We're not dying in Call of Duty today. We're clean. We're done. We went like 30-0, bro. We're done. All right, well, we get picked up by my mom. We're going to the state fair. Now, you guys know, state fairs are fucking fantastic. You got amazing food, delicious, like, ingredients. They're so sugary or they're so salty. Everything's super expensive. But the food there is just unordinary stuff that you wouldn't eat. Like there's alligator meat. There's bacon fried bananas. Like there's weird shit, at state fairs, which is great. And if you don't live in the United States, you're missing out on a lot of stuff because state fairs for our states is just I love it. I love it. There's a lot of goodies. There's a lot of sweets. This is why we're all pretty fat. I mean, I'm not fat, but this is beyond the point. But there are rides at state fairs, okay? And I don't know if everyone has these, but there's a lot of the roller coasters. There's Ferris wheels. There's spinny chair ones. And for this instance, this was one of the ones where you get into it, and then it kind of lifts its arms up, and it's like a two-person seat that you kind of sit in, but it lifts its arms up, and they're metal. They're not like wires. They're not like anything like that. You're not in like a swing. You're in a full metal ride, and it lifts it up kind of at an angle and spins you. It kind of looks like an octopus when it's spinning, and that's the ride that my brother and I wanted to go on for some reason. So we ended up getting onto the ride, and we were younger. I believe I was like 11, 12. My brother was probably 9, 10, something around there. We weren't like our size now. We weren't, pretty much, I think we were barely over 100 pounds at this point. And we get into this ride, and we're in this seat alone. And this seat could easily carry 2 normal-size adults. But between me and him, there's a lot of space in between us. And the bar that came over us was a very skinny bar. It wasn't one that was like a harness or something that you could kind of hold on to. It wasn't something that kind of kept you in. Unless you were like someone that was severely like 400 pounds and getting into this ride, it would hold you in then. But otherwise, it wouldn't even hold an average adult in. Unless you're really kind of leaning up against it, then it would hold you in. But in all regards, this ride had no safety functions whatsoever, so it was pretty much a death run at this point. Like, if anyone that was smaller went into this ride by themselves on this, like a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old, and they were both on this, they would instantly fly the fuck out of this thing, okay? Like, that's how unsafe this ride was. And I don't know why the hell there wasn't any injuries that happened from this ride. So we're in it. My mom ends up getting in with another person, and we're kind of left alone. Me and my brother are left alone. And then the ride starts up. And it's all fun at first. You get around the first couple spins. You're like, woo! And then that's pretty much it. And then you start saying, okay, this is either boring or now this is getting fucking terrifying. You don't kind of go in between. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But this one, it was kind of getting terrifying. And it wasn't because it was very high off the ground, because it only lifted us maybe about 15 feet up in the air. That's pretty much about max, right? And we're at an angle if you want to be specific, probably about a 45-degree angle above the ground. So we were kind of tilting over at each other, and then when it would spin, it'd kind of rotate us too. So we'd kind of flip over to the other side and flip to that side. So we're kind of going back and forth. And my brother and I started noticing that we're kind of like sliding around in this thing. The paint on this seat was very slippery. Like, it was just paint. It wasn't like no cushions, no like rubber grip that you would kind of like sit in. Like I said, there's no harness. The bar was fucking all painted. It was literally the most slipperiest paint that I've ever seen on something. Like, it was so slippery that even if you put butter on it, it wouldn't even make it any more slippery. Like, you needed to have like some severe super glue to keep yourself in this ride. So me and my brother are like holding on to everything, trying to keep ourselves in. We're like screaming because we don't know what the fuck is going on. Why the hell it feels literally like we can feel the inertia and the G-force pulling us out of this ride. Like, we're almost getting yanked out while we're spinning because it's going faster and faster at this point, and we're seriously thinking we're about to fall out and fly out of this goddamn thing and like hit our head on something or fly into a tent or fly into a group of people or anything like that. We don't want this to happen, so we're like screaming and we're like trying to tell our mom that something is seriously wrong, and the guy is standing over there that's working this ride, just kind of like ignoring that we're yelling at this happening. And even everyone around, like all these people, there was maybe like 3 or couple people that were just like watching us, but they weren't really too concerned. Like they kind of seen us as like, oh, we're just not liking it sort of thing. But my brother and I were literally hanging out of this goddamn fucking seat. Like, we had so much fucking space, and the amount of grip that we had to like put onto this seat to try to stay in was ridiculous. And I remember the dude, like, he would look at us just to see if we're okay and then look away. The ride instructor, and just do that. And then I remember there's this one guy that was, when we were freaking out, there's this guy spinning around, and he's like a black dude, and he's just chilling there. I think he's with his like wife or something. He's just like, he kind of like does that eye peek up at us when he's spinning around, and he has his arms kind of down in between his legs, and he's just sitting there like still. Like, dead face, no emotion, nothing whatsoever. And he's just like, he does that eye peek at us. He kind of looks up and he's like, fucking a lot of people. God damn it. And then you got other people on the ride, which is like some old people, and they're like, yeah, woo, like freaking out like it's the greatest goddamn ride in the world, even though this is probably something that's made for children, even though it's not safety regulated for children because there's no harnesses, and literally you have to be 300 and 400 pounds to be able to be safety, hooked up into this ride, because there's no way there's too much space, and it's goddamn slippery. So we're like flying out of this motherfucker. We're yelling. We got people, some people looking at us. Some people look like they're fucking annoyed. My mom's like kind of confused. She doesn't know if she should help us or not because she can't help us. She's like in the ride too. So she's sitting next to a random stranger she doesn't even know. So she's kind of watching us and asking us like when we're going around, like doing laps and stuff. She's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Like doing that sort of thing. And we're like, we're fucking breaking out. Breaking out. We're almost falling out. And at this point, my brother and I started noticing that this ride was going abnormally long. Like, when we were watching people do this, it felt like they maybe rode it for 2 minutes, right? It's one of those rides that are like, oh, yay, super fun, woo, and it's over. That's what it seemed like. But for us, our experience felt like it was going for a full half hour. I don't know what it was. The guy had something out to get us, or everyone else on here, or maybe he was just trying to kill everybody. But it seemed like the ride was going a little bit faster than normal, too. This guy might have been a little bit of a psychopath, a teenage shoot-'em-up schooler, okay? That's what this kid looked like, okay? And we were freaking out, and we actually end up telling the dude, we're yelling at him at this point, at the top of our lungs, and this actually ends up getting a crowd around us at this point around the ride, because we're like, shut the fucking thing off! Shut it off! Shut it off! Shut it off! We want to get off! We want to get off! We're like yelling this, and we end up getting a crowd around us. They don't really know what's going on at this point because they only see really the end of it, and maybe 5, 6 more spins, and the guy finally slows us down and then finally lets us off. And then my mom's still like, what's wrong? What was wrong? What was going on? And we're like, we were about to fucking fly out of this thing. She's like, no, you weren't. We're like, yes, we were. Do you feel how slippery the seat is? It feels like it's just slick butter. Like you could just whoop, fly right out of it. Nothing to hold on to, no grip whatsoever. We had a huge gap in between us. For some reason, they wouldn't let our mom come with us. It probably would have been the safer route. So we had so much room in between us that we had enough room where someone could have just literally got sucked right out of the goddamn thing and flew up into the sky. That motherfucking ride was super fucking terrifying. It was very young that we had this happen, so I don't really say we could have died during this, but when in the moment, it felt like you could have died. I mean, it depends on how fast you would have got thrown out of the thing. You could have broken your neck or something, but you know, if I would have broken my arm, could have sued the goddamn place. That would have been a good one. But yeah, the whole crowd that was around us that we were drawing up ends up just like not even caring anymore. Like once we get off the ride, like they're all kind of looking at us, and then they keep their attention for literally 10 seconds, and then everyone just walks their separate ways. It was fucking weird. The whole situation was really fucked up, that no one was caring at all. Neither was the guy that was instructing this fucking ride. Nor my mom could even hear us, so she didn't even know what was going on. I'm surprised no one even noticed that me and my brother were basically hanging fucking out of this thing. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't see that. Or you just thought it was safe? Is that what you did? I would like to meet the guy that instructed that ride that day. I'd beat the shit out of him.